Are the Chicago Bulls finally trading Zach Lavine? What's going on, guys? Welcome into the Bulls Report. My name is Patrick Siepman. We got a report from Casey Johnson, Bulls Insider, as he states that Chicago is expected to trade Zach Lavine this summer. Bombshell report coming here during the midst of NFL free agency. That's why we got a little at-home studio set up for you guys. I'm going to be breaking down this report, diving into the quote from KC, and also diving into some quotes from Zach Lavine and how his injury kind of rehab is going. Obviously, he did get season-ending foot surgery. And then also at the tail half of today's show, I'm going to talk about the Bulls-Mavs game because the Bulls got absolutely blasted by Dallas last night. It was 44-16 at the end of the first quarter. And, you know, the Bulls, they went on that 3-game win streak at the end of the West Coast trip, and then you dropped 2 games pretty badly against the Clippers and the Mavs. But let's start off here talking about the Casey Johnson report around Zach Lavine. So he tweeted out this. He said, the Bulls engaged in multiple trade conversations centered around Lavine dating to last offseason. When this season began poorly, both the Bulls and Lavine's representatives agreed to be more open to trying to find Lavine a new home. However, NBC Sports Chicago reported last month that Lavine specifically never asked to be traded, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then he carried on to say, but I do expect a deal to get done this summer. And obviously we do know this. Like, I think Zach Lavine has played his last game in a Chicago Bulls uniform. Not only just I think he wants to get out of here and he wants to go on to bigger and better things, but also I think the Bulls are realizing, you know, how much better this team really did get when Lavine was out of the lineup. You know, the development of Ayo Dosunmu, the development of guys like Kobe White, like they weren't able to take that next step in their game if Lavine was still on the roster. And a big reason of that is just shot attempts and usage rate. Like I said this on the channel multiple times. I said if you want to get the most out of the Bulls' young core, you got to play them more and you got to give them more looks. That's the only way you're going to develop. And, you know, obviously with Lavine going out, Kobe White specifically has taken that next step. I've been a huge fan of the way he's played this season. You know, really have nothing bad to say, even though he did struggle against Dallas last night. But I do fully expect a deal to get done around Lavine this summer. But honestly, I'm starting to think, is that necessarily the right decision for the Chicago Bulls to deal him this summer? Because I'm always in the camp. You never want to trade a guy when his value is at its lowest. And right now with Lavine coming off that foot surgery, even though we've talked about it that the rehab process for him is going very well, you never want to trade a guy when his value is at its lowest. And right now, this summer, Lavine's trade value has never been lower. So in my perfect world, when I saw this report, I was thinking, well, what if the Bulls, you know, stand pat once again, because we know obviously that is their MO. What if the Bulls stand pat and they run it back next season? They run out a similar starting lineup of, you know, Kobe White, Lavine, DeRozan, Patrick Williams, and Vooch. And Lavine starts off the season really hot. First 2 weeks, he's averaging 25 a game on, you know, 50, 40, 90 splits, whatever it may be. And he ups his trade value a little bit. Then I think the Bulls need to strike, because I do definitely think there will be suitors there. Bleacher Report threw out a trade idea about a couple weeks ago that we touched on the channel, where it was Zach Lavine for Ben Simmons in a possible trade. And it would also include a Dallas Mavericks unprotected 2029 first-round pick that they sent to Brooklyn, and then that would be coming to Chicago. And obviously Ben Simmons was just ruled out for the rest of the season. He's only going to play 57 games over the last 3 seasons in the NBA, which is absolutely insane. But the contracts would match. They're both going to be making around $40 million next year, and the Bulls will be getting that draft pick. And honestly, if I was Chicago right now, if Brooklyn's willing to do that, I would do that 100%. Not just for, you know, the Ben Simmons part of the thing, or Ben Simmons part of the trade, even though I do think he does have more potential and more left in his NBA career than I think most people think. I mean, he's 6'10". He can guard almost every position on the basketball floor. He is a great playmaker. Obviously, we know the mental side of the game has been where he really struggles, but I would take a chance on that guy, run him at your 4. I think he could be, you know, obviously he isn't as intelligent as a player like Draymond Green, but defensively, he does very similar things that Draymond Green does. He can switch on the guards very easily. He can guard bigs when they're dropping off that pick and roll. He can run multiple different coverages, and I think Ben Simmons can truly be a game wrecker on that side of the floor for Chicago. But the part about that trade that intrigues me the most is the Mavericks' 2029 unprotected first-round pick. Even though the Bulls, they did just get blasted by Dallas last night. I mean, what if for some reason Luka that season misses 30 games and the Mavericks are back in the play-in tournament and they're picking 15 or whatever? That could be a pretty good first-round pick. And obviously I've been in the camp that the Bulls need to accumulate draft capital, get younger, get more athletic, and that could be a huge boost to Chicago's future kind of plans here moving forward. But I'll ask you guys this question. Will the Bulls trade Zach Lavine this summer? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no down in the comments section. I'll make this the pinned comment on today's video. So if YouTube throws an ad break your way, sit back, let it play, and answer today's pinned comment of will the Bulls trade Zach Lavine this summer? So coming up next year on the show, I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts after the Bulls got absolutely blasted by the Dallas Mavericks last night. We'll get to that here in a second, but first I do want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. Even though the NFL season is not going on right now, they have a ton of different sports that you can make lineups for, including the NBA, NHL, women's college hoops. You can go take more on Caitlin Clark's points or whatever it may be. Men's college hoops with obviously March Madness here. Use Prize Picks, and if you guys go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use promo code CLNS, we'll hook you guys up with a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, it's daily fantasy sports made easy. Pick more, pick less. Just make sure you guys do play Prize Picks for every single NBA game I watch. I create a Prize Picks lineup. It just even adds more juice to maybe an even more boring game out there. For example, the Bulls game last night, it was a blowout, but I was still watching up to the end, not just because I love the Chicago Bulls, but because I did have a lineup in that game. So make sure you guys check it out. Link for that will be in the comment section and description of today's show. But let's talk about Zach Lavine, or let's talk about the Bulls-Mavs game, from last night. So it started off the game, and the first 6 minutes of the ball game, the Mavericks just came out on fire. And, the Bulls were missing shots. They weren't really in the flow of their offense. It was very stagnant. They got to the end of the shot clock multiple times, and it kind of was just like, oh, we're going to panic and throw up a jump shot. Where on the other side of the floor, the Mavericks, it was Luka just creating open look after open look. And that's kind of the main point I want to get to here with the Bulls is, you look at a team like the Mavs. The Bulls and Mavs, pretty similar rosters, but the biggest difference is they got Luka effing Doncic and the Bulls don't. And, when you have a guy like Luka, his ability just to beat his man off the dribble, it just gets the defense in rotation. And then even if you do have, a game stopper like an Alex Caruso or an Ayo Dosunmu, which the Bulls do have, if you're in rotation, you're not really picking matchups. You're just flying around on the basketball floor, and you're not able to kind of lock in on your, specific matchup because you are in rotation. Luka just puts the defense at such a disadvantage when he is cooking like that. He was hitting his step-back threes. I mean, it was 7 minutes into this game, and Luka had 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. I actually looked it up last night. I looked up what was the quickest triple-double in NBA history. It was Nikola Jokic at 14 minutes. I thought Luka had a chance to get a triple-double in the first quarter last night. That's how much he was cooking. But overall, it was just a bad game for the Bulls. I do understand the NBA is a make-or-miss league, and definitely the Bulls were missing a lot of their open threes when they did get those looks. But, I'm a big process over results guy, especially in the NBA, and just watching the Mavericks process on offense and just watching this, how consistently they were generating just good shots for not only for Luka and Kyrie, but for the other guys. I mean, the big fellas for them, Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, combined to go 21 of 22. They missed one shot last night. That's insane. That is unheard of out of a duo in the front court in the NBA. I mean, 21 to 22, they were cooking Vooch. Vooch was getting out of position. It was just an easy drop-off to a dunk or a nice little push shot for the big fellas over there in Dallas. But overall, just a bad game for the Bulls last night. I thought they were starting to turn the corner after that West Coast trip, but maybe that was just my wishful thinking as a Bulls fan, and it's just looking like it's just the same old Chicago Bulls once again. But obviously, the Bulls, I do think, are locked into that play-in spot at that 9 seed. I don't think Atlanta is going to catch them. Actually, keynote there, Sadiq Bey was ruled out for the rest of the year for Atlanta, so I don't think they're going to catch them, but, Bulls are going to be playing in the 9 seed, going to have to play Atlanta in a one-game kind of playoff. Hopefully they beat them, and then you're probably going to have Indiana in a one-game series in Indiana to get into the playoffs, and, hopefully they can come out on top, and maybe we get a first-round series versus the Boston Celtics, and nothing would make me happier if somehow the Bulls could pull off the biggest upset in NBA history and knock off the Boston Celtics in round 1. But I do want to say thank you guys for watching today's show. No graphics today. Hectic at the Chat Sports Studios here with NFL free agency going on, but we got this pretty cool at-home setup, so hope you guys do enjoy today's show. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning into the Bulls Report. Make sure you guys are subscribed, and as always, go Bulls.